Hey guys, welcome back to the Jaded House channel. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Pride and Prejudice before. It is a novel by Jane Austen, and it has a lot of movie adaptations, and today we're going to be talking about the 1995 miniseries and the 2005 film adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. We're going to be talking about 16 of the main characters in the book and comparing the 2005 version of the character with the 1995 version of the character. And in each instance, I'm going to talk about which character I think was more true to the book. Each movie, I'm going to be giving tally marks for each character that I decide is more accurate, and at the end of this chart we'll decide which movie overall had characters more accurate to the book. The first character we're going to be looking at is Elizabeth Bennet. If you haven't read the book or watched the movie, she's the main character, and yeah, she's the main character, so she's first. Elizabeth is the hardest character for me to decide which one did it better, because both the 95 Elizabeth and the 2005 Elizabeth were so good. I think that the 1995 Elizabeth is better and truer to the book, but this is very hard because I really do love Keira Knightley as Elizabeth. So 95 is going to get Elizabeth Bennet because they just did a really good job with her. She is very accurate to the book. I really like the way they represented her in that movie. I'm sorry it's so dark. It's because my light sucks. See? Okay, well the reason I had the light off was because it flickers a lot, but now it's not flickering, so we'll leave that on. Our next character we're going to be talking about today, this is why I had the light off. The second character we're going to be talking about today is Mr. Darcy. The 2005 Darcy did a good job, but to me, he seemed more just sort of depressed. I mean, in the scene where he proposes to her first in the rain, I think he did a good job of being angry. I thought he was good at being angry.
Mr. Wickham.
What excuse can you give for your behaviour towards him?
I feel like the 95 Darcy was more expressive. 95 Darcy just seemed more like the Darcy in the book to me. Darcy was clever. He is at the same time haughty, reserved, fastidious, and his manners, though well-bred, were not inviting. Yes, those are all a really good description of the 95 Darcy. So yeah, overall I just feel like he was the better Darcy. So 95 gets another tally mark. The next character we're going to be talking about is Jane. And Jane was better than the new one. Jane was supposed to be happy and kind and beautiful, and I think that the 2005 one is. The 1995 Jane seemed a bit more depressed. I think she's happier in 2005, which makes me like her better. Maybe the 95 one just hides her emotions more, which is what Jane does, but the 2005 one does too, so okay, they're both pretty good, but I'm giving it to 2005, okay? If you want to give it to the other one, do your own ranking. Fourth character we're going to be doing is Bingley. I kind of like the new Bingley better, but he seems a little bit dumb.
I mean, I can read, of course.
I think the old one's more accurate to the book. In understanding, Darcy was the superior. Bingley was by no means deficient, but Darcy was clever.
Then I have your blessing.
Do you need my blessing?
No. But I should like to know I have it all the same.
I think that Bingley was closer to the book in the 95 version. 2005 made him seem a little dumb, and he wasn't dumb. So, here we go. Next character we're going to be looking at is Caroline Bingley, which I'm just going to say it right at the beginning. 2005. 2005, because she is better, okay? Okay, so we're talking about Caroline now. His sisters were fine women with an air of decided fashion. I'm not a historian. I don't know much about the Regency era fashion, but what Caroline was wearing in the 95 version wasn't really like, it wasn't nice, it wasn't elegant, it was just kind of weird. I don't know. I didn't like the Caroline in that movie at all. And I don't feel that she was any more accurate than the new one. In the 2005 one at the Netherfield Ball, I don't really think Caroline's dress was something they would have worn back then. Like, I don't think. But her other clothes are probably fairly accurate, in my opinion. I don't really know, but yeah, I don't get the 95 Caroline. She's just weird. It doesn't seem like she's really friends with Jane at all. The 2005 one doesn't really seem like she's friends with Jane either. But I think that she looks more elegant, more ladylike. She definitely likes Darcy. She feels like she's better than everyone else. So overall, the general impression, I think the Caroline Bingley is better in the 2005 version. Another one for 2005. Okay, they're both at 3 points. So this is going to be interesting. What are the tie at the end? There's 16 characters that they could tie. Number 6 is Wickham. In my opinion, it's very obvious who is the superior Wickham, but let's talk about it first. This is after they're going to Meryton with Mr. Collins. But the attention of every lady was soon caught by a young man who they had never seen before, of most gentlemanlike appearance, walking with an officer on the other side of the way. His appearance was greatly in his favour. He had all the best part of beauty, a fine countenance, a good figure, and very pleasing address. If you've read or watched Pride and Prejudice, you know that Wickham is the bad guy. But he seems like a good guy, so everybody trusts him. 95 one, to me, he just looks like, I don't know, a scruffy guy. Wickham seems kind of old, and he's supposed to be like Darcy's age or a little younger. And honestly, I feel like a lot of the cast for the 95 version were cast a bit older than they should be. Like, Darcy's supposed to be 28 by the end of the movie, and I think that the 95 Darcy could easily be in his early 30s. I mean, Elizabeth's supposed to be 20 in the book, and I'm 20. I'm not saying I'm the perfect example of a 20-year-old, but I think we can agree she doesn't really look 20. The 2005 Wickham is a really good Wickham. He matches the description. He seems like someone they would trust. He's someone a lot of people would like. He makes so much more sense than the 95 one. So I'm going to give another one for 2005. 2005 is now in the lead. The next character we're going to be talking about is Lydia. One problem I do have with every Lydia, with both Lydias, is, "Oh," said Lydia stoutly, "I'm not afraid, for though I am the youngest, I'm the tallest." She's not the tallest in either version. The new Lydia seems whiny and silly.
Mr. Bingley, how do you like my ribbons for your ball?
Which Lydia is whiny and silly. But I think the 1995 version of Lydia definitely has more of the bold, self-assured, confident side of Lydia, along with the whininess and silliness. And so, for that reason, I'm definitely going to give it to the 95 version. The next character we're going to be talking about is Mr. Collins. He was a tall, heavy-looking man of 5 and 20. His air was grave and stately, and his manners were very formal. Now, neither Mr. Collins is very tall or heavy. I think that both versions do look older than 25 as well. I think they did a great job with the 2005 Mr. Collins because he is like the one in the book. And the 1995 one is definitely awful, and I mean that in a good way. His air was grave and stately, his manners were very formal. I think that the 2005 Mr. Collins did a much better job of that.
And what excellent boiled potatoes. Many years since I've had such an exemplary vegetable.
I think that he was the better Mr. Collins of the two as far as accuracy towards the book goes. So I'm going to give that to 2005. Our next character is Charlotte. And again, I'm choosing the 2005 Charlotte. Throughout the book, it says that Charlotte is plain. She's 27 years old. I'm choosing the 2005 Charlotte. I like her a lot better, and she does seem older than the 2005 Elizabeth, so that makes sense.
Charlotte!
My dear Lizzie, I've come here to tell you the news.
I just don't find the 95 version of Charlotte interesting at all. She just seems more formal, more distant from Elizabeth, and maybe that's really how friendships were back then, but to me, the 2005 one seems like a more natural, normal friendship. Maybe I'm not ranking Charlotte how I should, but I think the 2005 version is better and more accurate to the book. The next character we're going to be talking about is Lady Catherine, which, again, I'm choosing the 2005 version. Lady Catherine was a tall, large woman with strongly marked features which might have once been handsome. Her air was not conciliating, nor was her manner of receiving them as to make her visitors forget their inferior rank. She was not rendered formidable by silence, but whatever she said was spoken in so authoritative a tone as marked her self-importance. I think that the 2005 Lady Catherine is closer to this description. I think that she's closer to the character overall. I like her better. I don't know how accurate that hairstyle was to back then, because again, I'm not a historian. I'm not saying that the 1995 Lady Catherine was bad. She was good, but she wasn't as scary. She's just like, she's a little old lady. She wasn't quite what I feel like this description is trying to show us. The 1995 version also had some really neat camera angles when you first see Lady Catherine.
Extremely angry if I hear that you have gone elsewhere.
I assure you I have no intention to, Lady Catherine.
No, indeed, no, indeed. No intention at all.
Well,
But as far as the character goes, gotta give it to 2005 because she was just so bossy and awful and rude.
Mr. Collins, you can't sit next to your wife. Move. Over there.
She was perfect, okay? By now you're all thinking that I just like the 2005 version, I'm going to choose it for every character, but it's not true. It's not, because the 2005 Mr. Bennet was not as good as the 95 one. The 2005 Mr. Bennet is very hands-off with his family, which he is in the book. Let's read the description, the first description of Mr. Bennet in just the first chapter, I think. Mr. Bennet was so odd a mixture of quick parts, sarcastic humor, reserve, and caprice that the experience of 23 years had been insufficient to make his wife understand his character. I really think that the 1995 version of Mr. Bennet is closer to this, and closer to it overall throughout the book.
I'm heartily ashamed of myself, Lizzie. But don't despair. It'll pass. And no doubt more quickly than it should.
I think that the 2005 one was good too.
They affect them.
Oh, Mr. Bennet, how can you be so tiresome? You know, he must marry one of them.
Aha! So that is his design in settling here.
You must go and visit him at once.
Good heavens. People.
For we may not visit if you do not, as you well know, Mr. Bennet. Are you listening? You never listen. You must, Papa. At once.
There's no need. I already have.
He was good, but he wasn't as good as the 95 one. Our next character, of course, we're going to be talking about is Mrs. Bennet. And both Mrs. Bennets did a very, very, very good job. Let's read the description of Mrs. Bennet. She was a woman of mean understanding, little information, and uncertain temper. When she was discontented, she fancied herself nervous. The business of her life was to get her daughters married. Its solace was visiting and news.
Lydia married. And at 15, too.
Mrs. Bennet is just a really good character.
She must be married in Longbourn Church where all her friends can see her. No, Mum, that is not possible. You must see that. I do not see that. Why should I see that?
When you compare the two, they're really close because they're both really good and really accurate to the book. So, what I'm going to choose is the 2005 one. Not because I want the 2005 one to win. Really, the reason I'm choosing the 2005 one is because I feel like the 1995 one wore more makeup than seems normal. In that time period, it just seems more accurate to me to be wearing less makeup. Yeah, that's basically it. I'm just choosing it because she's less makeup. The next character we're going to be talking about is Mary Bennet. Both Marys were good. I think that the 2005 Mary is more likable, which is less accurate because Mary, I don't know why anyone would think she's likable. She's not. She's annoying. Basically, Mary just wants to be better than everyone else, and so she's busy studying or playing piano and just doing anything she can to be better than everyone else.
Fortunes, we are told, are sent to test our fortitude and may often reveal themselves as blessings in disguise.
Anyway, she's a pain in the butt, basically, and I think that the 1995 version does a great job of Mary. If I had to choose which Mary I like better, I would choose the 2005 one because she's just more likable. But as far as accuracy to the book goes, I gotta go with the 95 one because she sucks. And she's supposed to suck. The next character I'm going to be ranking is the only Bennet sister we have not talked about already, and that is Kitty Bennet, or Catherine. Now, Kitty is interesting because I don't think that either movie really made her character exactly like the one in the book. I think that the movies both make Kitty silly, but also good-natured, and when she's upset, she can be really pain in the butt.
Tell them, tell her! Oh, Kitty, stop making such a fuss. She owes me as well. She probably can't afford it.
I'm better company.
Kitty, what's the matter? Just as much right as Lydia.
I don't really see why they make her good-natured except to make her more likable, because you really don't see that in the book. So at the end of the book, after Jane and Lizzie are both married, it talks about Kitty in this way. Kitty, to her very material advantage, spent the chief of her time with her two elder sisters. In society so superior to what she had generally known, her improvement was great. She was not so ungovernable of temper as Lydia, and removed from the influence of Lydia's example, she became, by proper attention and management, less irritable, less ignorant, and less insipid. So I really don't know which one to choose. In this case, it's hard for me to decide which one is more accurate when... I mean, she's silly in both of them. I like Kitty's hairstyle and outfit better in the 2005 one, but I don't know that it's particularly accurate. I guess I'll choose the 95 one, because I guess she seems a little bit more accurate. Our next character we're going to be talking about is Georgiana. Personally, I like the 2005 Georgiana better. She seems younger and happier.
Miss Elizabeth!
But I don't think she's particularly more accurate. The description of Georgiana is this. Miss Darcy was tall and on a larger scale than Elizabeth, and though little more than 16, her figure was formed and her appearance womanly and graceful. Since her being in London, she had heard that Miss Darcy was exceedingly proud, but the observation of a very few minutes convinced her that she was only exceedingly shy. Georgiana's reception of them was very civil, but attended with all that embarrassment which, though proceeding from shyness and the fear of doing wrong, would easily give those who felt themselves inferior the belief of her being proud and reserved. I definitely think that the 1995 Georgiana is more shy and reserved, so I have to give her the point. Our last character we're going to be ranking today is Colonel Fitzwilliam. The 1995 version of Colonel Fitzwilliam was much more accurate to the book than the 2005 version. The 2005 version is just sort of, I don't know, he seems older than Darcy, and I don't think he was supposed to be. Colonel Fitzwilliam was Darcy's cousin. He was a younger son of an earl, I think. For a little while he liked Elizabeth, and I think that was all very well portrayed in the 95 version. But in the 2005 version, he basically seems to serve no purpose but telling her how Darcy split up Bingley and Jane. It probably just was because they didn't have enough time, but the 95 one is a lot better because he has more time to do his character properly. Okay, now I get to see who has the most points. I actually got my tally marks wrong, so that wasn't any good. Fortunately, I was also marking which movie was for each character on my list. And the final results are, out of the 16 total points available, the 1995 miniseries got 9 points. The 2005 movie got 7 points. So the 1995 one won. Of course, a couple of them could have gone either way. I really think that Kitty could have gone either way. Anyways, thanks for watching. Make sure to comment down below which characters you think were best in each version. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and